Brian, how are you?
Eddie?
I got a hold of that attorney.
What's that?
I got a hold of the attorney.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's got a list for me.
They open Friday.
Have you seen his answer?
Open.
His answers?
The answer to the complaint that he
The
filed?
flyer didn't say, did it? It just said
He
they're
did a nice
open,
job.
grand opening, but it didn't say what hours they're open every day.
Yeah, they said
Covered
11 to
everything,
7.
including the
Okay.
city didn't plug the sewer, somebody else did.
That's right.
That's a good place to start right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, how you doing?
Pardon me?
Yes.
Yeah. And to declare an emergency.
He's supposed to be here.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order and have a full council session to start with and have a roll call with Cole,
Here.
Crable,
Here.
Heffley, Henry, here, Johnson,
Here.
Kelly, and Morrow.
Here.
Okay, I need,
Move to excuse
yeah,
Heffley and Kelly.
second, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll start out. Got one resolution to read tonight, resolution 3 and 4.
Two, please.
Resolution 2012-3, a resolution declaring the necessity of appropriating real property located along Thornwood Drive and a declaration of an emergency. Eddie, you want to give us a little rundown?
Yeah, the culvert out there on Thornwood Drive required the city, or the replacement of that culvert required the city to acquire some property from 3 different property owners for right of way. 2 of them, one of them from the Port Authority has already been donated to the city. The second one from, I believe, Rob Pettit was already settled as far as compensation for it. And there's a third one where the individual that owned it is deceased, and we had to go to court to proceed with that negotiation on compensation for that property. ODOT currently has the project planned for construction in August of this year, and they need to have right-of-way clearance by mid-July in order to move forward with the project. Prior to them getting right-of-way clearance, we have to file with the Licking County courts in order to allow that negotiation for compensation to be settled within the court system, so we can move forward with the project. That's basically what these are doing tonight.
Yeah, John has told us before. Does anybody have any questions for Eddie? Guess I need a motion to waive the second reading. Is that right? Or suspend the rules? Yeah, you have to
Well,
suspend the
see.
rules.
Okay.
Dick?
A second.
Okay. Roll call. Cole?
Yes.
Grable?
Yes.
Henry? Yes. Johnson?
Yes.
Morrow?
Yes.
Okay. Need a motion now to,
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2012-3.
Second.
okay. Any questions or comments? Roll call. Cole?
Yes.
Grable?
Yes.
Henry? Yes. Johnson?
Yes.
Morrow?
Yes.
Okay, that one has passed.
The second is nearly identical, but there's just a quirk in the statutory law that you need one to declare that it's necessary and that you intend to do it, and then the other one actually doing it. So we drafted the complaint that way to file with the court, so these are gonna be attached to that complaint.
Okay, any questions for Dave? Okay, I'll read resolution 2012-4. It says a resolution to appropriate real property located along Thornwood Drive and the declaration of an emergency.
I'd make a motion to suspend the rules on resolution 2012-4.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Ms. Cole,
Yes.
Crable,
Yes.
Henry, yes, Johnson,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
okay.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2012-4.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Cole,
Yes.
Crable,
Yes.
Henry, yes, Johnson,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
okay, resolution 2012-4 is passed. Do I have a motion to,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Don't want to miss all of that.
Okay, turn it over to, who's in, public service?
I just want
Morrow,
you
Mr.
before I go, I just want you to know that once Lynn, certifies copies of these, then we'll attach that to the complaint and file a complaint probably tomorrow.
Okay, I'll turn this over to Eddie and
Do you need to sign them, David?
Your service commission.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, it is now 5:35.
Thank you.
We will start the
and,
public utility or the service
Jeff
committee.
Cole,
Mr.
move
Geller?
second.
Start out with wastewater. I'm gonna update you on the jet aeration system for the digesters, that was approved. I wanna first update you on the price. The price came in at $156,670. Original allocation was for $164,000, $164,070. So we had a savings of about $7,400 by allowing negotiations with the mayor and also different people providing the jet aeration. That was fluid dyeing and mixing systems. We would expect a construction to start sometime in August of 2012 on that. Again, just to kind of remind you what that is an update of aeration in the digesters for better digestion. Also, we're looking to save about $10,000 a year on electrical costs with this new system. This system is also, the funding's coming out under replacement fund, which is designed specifically for updating certain parts, main equipment and so forth in the wastewater collection system and also in the plant. Does anyone have any questions on the jet aeration system? Okay, moving on to update on Fox Run lift station, removal of the lift station at Fox Run. I met with Jobs and Henderson on the 22nd, kind of a kickoff meeting. Design is underway, they were telling me, and a bidding on that project. The design would be done this year. The bidding would be done on March 2013. And again, I'm going to kind of remind you what that's for. That is taking the industrial waste away from the Fox Run residential area, allowing the water to free flow into Maine that's along State Route 79 instead of into a subdivision. Also, we're looking at, we originally did a study last year on which lift stations would be ones that we could possibly do away with. This lift station and also Scioto lift station, which is just down the road from Fox Run. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Scioto lift station. There's a small apartment complex there on Thornwood Drive. I'm currently getting surveying done on that. That is a lift station, again, that was recommended by Jobs and Henderson that could possibly be done away with. I don't know if we want to combine that with this, depending on what costs are, but we're looking at it. What it is if you already have the equipment there to do one, and you're just down the road from another, We could possibly be doing away with 2 of our 21 lift stations, possibly next year, if everything works out. That's good. It's a lot less maintenance. We save on electricity costs, and so forth. So just kind of wanted to update you on the Fox Run lift station. Do we have any questions on that?
So you're gonna get some bidding on the side of it, or what?
Well, what we're gonna do is first of all, see what's involved. So I have to have a survey crew get in there and survey the elevations to see if we can get a fall, which would be the best direction to get a fall to do away with the lift station. If it looks like it's not a major project and there's gonna be major costs involved in it, we just have to look at it first and see. I mean, it may be something that we might want to consider next year, maybe combining these 2 into one. We'll just have to wait and see how the survey goes.
John, let me ask you a question. Maybe if I saw it on the map, maybe it would help me visualize this better. If just through gravity it could be done, then why was there a lift station to begin with?
Maybe Eddie can answer some of those questions. I don't know. It just, I think sometimes things need to be looked at a little. It's so easy and convenient for a contractor that's building something to slap in a lift station and say, this will take care of it. We really need to look at things like that from now on, because it may be easier for the contractor to build it. You just dig a hole in the ground, set a couple pumps, and you're pumping it to a location, instead of spending the additional money to make it so that it'll drain correctly. I mean, for a community of our size of 10,000 people to have 21 lift stations, that's a lot of lift stations to take care of.
I can understand the topography of the east side,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but not the west
But
side.
some of the ones that Jones and Henderson recommended on getting rid of is on this side, And
So, we've got that annexation, correct?
which is that, Scioto?
Scioto.
Scioto, we got by annexation.
Tell me the history of this
Fox
lift
Run, we
station.
did, of Scioto.
Yeah.
Scioto was, I think we ended up annexing them. I don't know a whole lot of background on it.
So we inherited this lift station?
You
Help me
guys,
out with the
somebody
cost.
annexed it in. Cletus, you know?
Huh?
Do you remember Scioto, the
Oh,
annexation?
I know it
of
was
that?
annexed.
Yeah,
But it's,
Well,
we
that's
annexed the
that's
existing.
on the left down there where those
Yeah.
apartments.
We annexed the
Yeah,
existing.
the owner of the apartment annexed it in.
My point is, we annexed the existing infrastructure.
right.
As
When you annexed it, you must have accepted what was
We
there.
took what we had, so we have no assessment possibility. We've got what we've got. That now becomes a public utility. We bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, what we should have done is, we should have looked at it before we took it and did exactly what we're doing right now. We should have went to Job's or some engineering firm and said, okay, what's it take to do away with this lift station? And then maybe had it surveyed, and then we would have made the person trying to annex it take care of the problem. That's what we should.
Are the annexation laws still the same as they are? You got such a tight window to get things annexed the way they are now?
Turn it up.
You can't hardly get things annexed in a reasonable amount of time. You got such a narrow window
I
of
think it's
time.
easier now than what it used to be.
Okay.
But I don't, I mean,
Back then, you had a
back
very
then, I
narrow
think it was-
window
Right.
of analysis and assessment. And if you didn't go boom, boom, boom,
It didn't happen.
you lost out on the annexation.
I think you're right.
So that may be part of the answer. That I regretfully have to say, but that's what it was.
I've just taken the lift station too, that's part
We
of it.
took it versus no annexation whatsoever.
I think that annexation was main reason to just get water. Because didn't have a problem with the beach bed or what you had.
I don't know if they had a septic system at that time. I don't know the particulars on it.
But I said because it was going to apartments, he had to have X number of water available, and you didn't have it down there.
Long-term, pipes don't use electricity, lift stations do. I think the cost of electricity is only gonna go up, so.
Electricity, maintenance, and SCADA systems, pump replacement. I mean, these pumps aren't cheap. Average life of a lift station pump's probably 5 to 8 years. So, then you replace them.
You know, we've got that group that performs maintenance on the pumps and stuff for us, right? That we contract with. Do they do the lift station pumps too?
Well, the firm you're probably thinking about is the wells.
No.
No?
Remember, we did some sort of agreement where they maintenance our pumps.
That's generators.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was generators.
That's all right.
Yeah.
But that's another cost. But there doesn't have to be a generator there at Scioto. There is one at Fox
Yeah,
Road.
it was the generator. That's what I'm thinking.
And I think
Yeah.
another reason, Butch told us, you know, if we could get somebody on that end, because they had already annexed Dixon, then the people in between, if a majority of them wanted to be annexed into the city, all you had to do is just have kind of like a motion. They didn't have, you know, meet the zoning board. Because you got one on each end, it's just a matter of simplicity of getting annexed in, you know.
I know I did, and Ed may know a little bit about this, but RCD was thinking about expansion, and I got a phone call from the Department of Health wanting them to tap on the city sewer. And I don't know how that's came along or if it's came in any more development, but because of that being a commercial site, they have to annex. I can't give them services.
They haven't annexed yet though, have they?
I haven't heard anything yet, unless Ed has heard something.
Yeah, there was 2 or 3 that didn't care, and 4 or 5 that didn't want it. I don't think they were ever given the parameters, you know, that if you come in the city, you know, your tax will be this, or it won't be this. You have water, you have police protection and all this. I don't know if they were ever told that or not.
Okay. Any other questions on Foxtrot? Okay, we'll go to review of sanitary sewer policy.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is Eddie punching you under the table?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my favorite.
Review of the sanitary sewer policy, and I'll go ahead and just kind of pass these around. What I did was I took recommendations from our last meeting and put them in the cleanup assistance application and also the sanitary sewer backup policy. And I will, your first page is the cleanup assistance application. One of the things we wanted to change on that is we did say, please ask for a complete copy of the sewer backup policy. You'll see it circled there. Now we have saying, by signing it below, you have agreed that you have received and understand sanitary sewer backup policy and procedures. Another thing we changed is instead of this policy on the cleanup assistance, we refer to the policy because the application isn't the policy. It's just an application to get that.
John, you know, we had talked previously about when somebody opens a new account, that they could get a copy of this.
Mm-hmm.
Could this also be utilized as an acknowledgement that they have received a copy of it when they establish the account? I don't know.
You could do that.
I don't know if you want to maintain a file on that, but I'm just thinking it might be helpful.
Yeah, we can do that.
Even if we were to take that signed copy and scan it, and then you just had a folder somewhere with a scanned image and the name of the,
Sure.
or the address of the account is the file name of that PDF file. You don't have to keep the paper, you can keep the electronic image, but you'd have it to reference if you'd ever need it.
As far as having giving them a copy of the
Yes,
policy?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, when they establish the service.
You do that. The next thing I think would be, I believe it's on the second page. Okay. Let's try the third page. It's, you guys wanted me to, instead of underlining property owner, I think the underline off the property owner at the bottom of the page. That was mentioned. Okay. So, then the next page, on item 2 at the top, the mayor would receive council authority to handle costs up to a certain amount per incident. A catastrophic occurrence exceeding $3,000 would be handled by council action. I don't think we wanted that limit stated in here. So it just is it just reads, utilities director will report the sewer backup to mayor. The mayor will review the request for funds and would determine if the applicant is eligible to receive the funds. An annual report shall be made to the city council outlining the number of applications for assistance, a description of the cases involved, and the total cost of payments made. And again, we took out, the mayor could receive council's authority to handle costs up to $3,000 per incident. A catastrophic occurrence exceeding $3,000 would be handled by the council's action. So that was to take it out. Another thing on that page, 5, section C, we originally said the utilities director will determine if the property owner needs to install a backflow preventer in order to receive the $3,000 payout. Now we put, if the sewer backup has occurred at the residence more than one time, the utilities director could direct the owner of the property to install a backflow preventer in the owner's lateral before any monetary assistance would be allocated. The owner must understand that he or she is responsible for the purchase and maintenance of the backflow preventer. Okay. And I think that's it.
I do have a question about that last statement that you made. You talk about, time being of the essence when these things happen. If that person has a flooded basement, things flooded, they don't wanna see anymore, how long does it take them to get this backflow?
Well, what we can do
installed?
is say, look, we have this, policy, and you can collect money for this,
Okay.
on this policy, but you have been a problem in the past here, and or you've had another backup or something's going on here, and in order for us to even consider you, you have to be a backflow preventer.
So they can go ahead and start the work.
Sure.
We could still
Yeah.
reimburse up to $3,000 if they provide evidence that they
Yeah,
have
they
taken
could
care
get
of
that $3,000, but they may not necessarily get it if they
Right.
don't install the backflow.
Right, okay.
So the word direct is not as strong as we're gonna get on this. No require,
Well, we can put require.
Thinking out loud
We
here.
gotta be kinda careful, because, in the past, I guess if we state in here that we're not responsible for the maintenance of it, we could put require, yeah. I can change that, if you guys want to do it.
What kind of cost to install a backflow preventer?
The cost of the backflow is about anywhere from $80 to $100. And then whatever the cost to install it. And that can vary depending on. You can dig it up, yourself and install it if you want to. Depending on how deep your sewer is.
Is that anywhere in the line?
It's usually outside of the house. I mean, they have different ones, they have different types. I've seen some that you can put inside, but that would get pretty costly to put it inside, but a lot of them are just outside. And then they have a way of popping the top off and inspecting and cleaning it and going back down. They're usually plastic.
Who's a good company to get to do that for you, to dig it out?
Any of your local contractors, Smith Excavating would be an excellent, company, Layton.
Oh, okay.
Any of those guys would do that, no problem. What's the other one that's,
I had rotor water got a line in for me.
yeah, Law would be a good one, any. We don't require any permitting on that because they're not really tapping the sewer. Anyone that taps the sewer has to have a permit through the city. But this wouldn't be a tap, because you're just putting in a backflow preventer.
We've got good records on the repeat offenders.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
We keep track of everyone.
if a backflow preventer is in, and you take the top off, you can see it.
Yeah, there's ways of maintaining it, yeah. I mean, I think some of the older ones, but some of the newer style now, you have a way to pop that up, and inspect it and clean it, put it back down in. But they've came a long way on
Try to open the whole can of worms on here, because I like this. This is good. I mean, especially for the person that finds himself in that unfortunate situation. Although, if we have the backflow preventer in there, to repeat backup, they put a backflow preventer in. They have another backup because their backflow malfunctioned because they didn't have a maintenance, but they said they did. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how closely we're
Well,
bound to
they're
do
still
something for
required to
them.
maintain it. It's in their lateral.
Well, I realize they have to
It's not
maintain
the
it, but
city's.
they might say we did maintain. And
Yeah.
you can say, well, you didn't, so they'll feel entitled to, we're not entitled to pay out again, are we?
Mhm.
If they have another backup and John
It's
says, hey,
still the mayor's discretion on
it is
whether
at
to
his
pay
discretion.
anything.
Right, okay,
I
so
mean,
the
he's
mayor
got
can
the
say,
first- He
no.
can say no.
no. Well,
Wait, let me back up.
All right.
Number 5 says, this policy will reimburse the property owner up to $3,000 for cleanup costs if all of the following conditions are met. So I think what Brian is saying is, in regards to C, if they've had one backup,
Sorry, John.
and then, I'm sure after the first one, the utility director would say, hey, you might want to consider putting a backflow in. So, let's say they put a backflow in. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't maintain it. They have another backup. They say that they did maintain it. Well, if I'm reading this verbatim, the word will means that you will reimburse again up to $3,000 if they've installed the backflow. And then it becomes a question of, did they maintain it? They say they did, we say they didn't. How do you?
They would
Should
have
maintain
evidence
records,
of
yeah.
maintenance.
Well, that
I agree, they should
the
have
need
records.
for that isn't stated here.
Right, and I'm not trying to pick it apart, because I know you're getting tired of writing this thing over and
No,
over.
it's all right. I want to get it right.
I'm just trying to catch any unfortunate situation if that happens, and
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this.
You wanna
So.
spell out, you wanna expand on the word maintenance in section C with more detail.
Say maintenance records will be required or something.
maintenance record must be retained for, 18 months or
Annual
24 months
record, is
or
this an
something.
annual thing in your estimation, recommendation, or what?
I can find out what they recommend by the manufacturer. There's different manufacturers, but yeah, if I had one in mine, I'd be doing it probably every 6 months checking.
Well, you don't count.
You know how to test it.
Your chances of
Even
having a
records
second
most.
one is almost nil, because like the guy,
I mean, we've installed them. They're in the city now. We probably got a dozen of them, and I don't know of one time that since we've installed them that it failed. But I mean, I'm just telling you.
The language of the manufacturer, you probably want to copy and paste to a degree,
Okay.
so it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, maintenance records must be maintained on backflow to receive funding. That would be a good idea.
is this anything more than just a simple, like a backflow, like a check valve on a water line? That's just a flapper?
Flapper, one-way flapper.
Allows it to come out, but doesn't allow it to come back in.
Exit on.
And, I'm not saying everybody needs these. I mean, you've had problems. If you're in an addition and you're at the bottom of the addition and there's a lift station right beside you at the same elevation, you might need a backup.
Like Jeff Foxworthy.
Yeah.
Which, okay. Okay, well, I'll make adjustments on that and we will get back with you.
I'm just looking here at Sydney to see what they.
You know, I've looked at so many different ones and they all are different. Not any of them exactly the same, it seems like. And some get into more detail, some of them are very brief. Okay, any other questions on review of sanitary sewer files? Start in the water. Kind of explain briefly the statement of qualifications committee and procedures. The committee is made up of Mark Johns, Dick Morrow, Steve Glob, Bob Hoskison, and John Geller. SOQs are out and in, back into the city. I think Dick, you have probably another one in there if you haven't got one already.
Just got it tonight. So
There
there's
are
3 of them.
There are 4.
Should be 4.
Should be 4. There are four firms that are being considered. It's Burgess and Nyepel, Malcolm Perney, Hazen and Sawyer, and Jones and Henry. Those are 4 of the top in the state, I feel, for designing clarifier and looking at our chlorine feed system and pumps at the water department. When you receive the SOQ back, each member of the committee will evaluate the SOQ, and there's a rating system, and there's numbers. And basically what you're doing is you're just looking at the engineering firm and seeing how well they understand our project. Because all of them have been in the scene, all of them have been through the plant, all of them have talked to us. And you want to see how familiar they are with our plant and their personnel and who they have available, and it kind of explains it right in the SOQ there for evaluation on how you want to evaluate them. I would recommend reading all of them first and then rate each firm. What we'll do then is we'll pull our top 2 or 3, whichever we decide, in to get a presentation. And they'll actually come in and we'll sit down, and Doug Heath, I think, did the mayor on our last one. And we'll sit down and we will listen to, give them about a half hour to talk about their qualifications and why they should be engineering this job. We will pick numbers and then we will rank them, number 1 to number 4. That will be given to the mayor. The mayor goes in and he takes number 1 and he brings them into his office and he starts negotiating with them on the project. If he does not feel that he can meet negotiations with that firm, he has to discontinue negotiations with number 1, and then he has to go to number 2 on the. But I don't think you can go wrong with any of these firms. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're all top-notch firms, and they're all very, very capable of doing this. So wherever the mayor settles, I think it'll work. Okay, so it's good, and this is according to our attorney on procedures on how we do that.
And this is the ability to do it this way, something that's new, correct? Is it a result of the state law change maybe within the past year or
I
so?
think so. I think Dave mentioned that it took place in November of last year, this way of doing it. So before we used to bring them in, we used to pick them, rank them, and then number 1, and that's who we usually tried to stick with, and there wasn't much negotiating. I mean, they told you what they would.
Push on the price.
That's what we're talking about. So this gives
It's
us.
still limited.
This gives us a little bit more control on that. My feeling is that the best solution is to make their price be part of their presentation. When I go and buy something, I may spend $10 on something if it has X, Y, and Z, as opposed to $8 on something that only has X. I may make that determination that I'll spend a little bit more to get a little bit more. So I still think the optimum way for this process to work for local governments would be to allow the discussion of price to be part of the conversation that's laid out with the firm of what services they're going to provide. But current law doesn't allow for that. So.
This is a good start.
So it's a step in the right direction. Any questions on the SOQs for the water plant?
We have to make sure that we somehow get the engineering firm lobbyists out of Columbus for a while for that discussion and change to take place probably.
Politics, you said?
Okay, any other questions? SOQs and procedures? Okay, I just wanted to mention that, I don't know if you've noticed, but they've been flushing hydrants in the areas. They're about 90% done. We got about another 10% of the city. We just completed Southgate, which is usually a tough area to do. For some reason, we seem to get sediment and different buildup and so forth. That's why we put, whenever we're flushing the Southgate residential area, we put it in the newspaper or on the radio or whatever. So I always get a few complaints. Well, I just did my wash. It looks like iron. And my whites look like iron. But everything went smooth this year. I didn't get any phone calls, so unless the mayor did.
No, I didn't either. Why do you think that is in Southgate? Is it the age of the lines? Is it the topography of the area being just basically flat?
I think it's because it's flat, it's intermingled, I don't think a lot of times you get that, like some subdivisions, it's a straight through shot, you flush a hydrant and it just goes through the subdivision. But Southgate's kind of an I don't know if you've ever seen, if you look at it from the top, it's kind of rapid. And it just is hard. What we have to do when we flush in there, we have to close valves so that we can get a direct flush on certain lines. And so, it's just more time consuming when we get in there. It might have something to do with pipe. I mean, when that it's a cast iron pipe, which was put in the 60s, might have something to do with a certain style of pipe maybe that might have something to do with it, but my personal opinion is it's just keeping it flushed and doing it on a routine
Probably had
basis.
so many phases, like 6 or 7 phases of Southgate over 10 years wide.
But I will say one thing, they have the maximum amount of lots in that area. No doubt about it. I mean, whoever developed that, I don't know, Southgate Corporation or whatever, but they got the maximum amount of lots that you could put in however big that is.
And they laid those sewer lines in the 50s. Because I moved in, I had my house built in 62, moved in January 63, and I was over close to 30th Street. And they already had that completed over there. So the guy, and I think little Charlie Kyle works here, his dad told me that they put him in, they did all that utility work in the 50s.
Lead and copper, I just kind of want to mention that we're doing lead and copper testing in the city. It's an EPA requirement. We have to collect samples from 20 houses that were built in the, I think, mid-80s. That's when they combined, they had lead in the solders at certain concentrations. We don't have any lead lines in the city, so the only other thing we could look at is solder that was used. So we targeted a group of homes that was built in that time frame. Seems to be a lot of homes along Licking View Drive. I mean, they can view the houses off of those additions, seem to be houses that were built in that time period. So anyway, we collect 20 samples. The resident has to collect those samples. It has to be from a first draw. When you get up in the morning, we have to, a big thing that we explain to people how to collect the sample. They collect the sample and everything for us, and we turn that in to have it tested, because we don't do lead and copper testing because it's in metals and it's pretty involved. But the residents are really pretty good about it. The same ones get called upon every 3 years. We haven't had a hit or anything
Can I help you?
unusual or exceeding limits or anything. But it's just something that's continuing. So, wanted to let you know that was going on. Any questions on lead and copper testing? Well number 5, one of our big production wells, quit producing some water. We had that main thing we looked at last year. We had it cleaned and so forth in 2011. We went down and tested the well, found out that we're not getting any drawdown on the well, so it's telling us that the pump is not working correctly. So we're going to have to tear in the well number 5 this week. They'll probably be pulled, find out what's going on with the pump.
Where is
Well number 5 is directly behind the water plant. If you go directly behind the water plant, I will tell you it's our oldest well. It's 25 years old. But we don't think that's the issue. We think it's a pump problem. So we'll pull that, and it's kind of a long, something you just can't walk in and you pull it out. There's column pipe. You have to take all the column pipe out. The pump's attaching to the bottom of the column pipe. There's a shaft that runs in the middle of the column, stainless steel, and it turns. The motor sets to 200, 100 and some feet above the pump itself. So we pull all that out, then we test the pump, see what's going on with it, and then we'll put it all back in. But it's a clean well. I mean, it's been cleaned and maintained, but something's failed on it. And the person that did the work last year may stand behind it. I don't know yet, but he'll be in to pull it to find out what's going on.
Was it last year that well was clean?
Yeah. H&D was the company that did it. They worked a little better at that time. So we'll have to look
Has this
at.
been a gradual decline in production, or just?
It was kind of all of a sudden.
Okay.
So that's what another thing that's kind of making us think that it's the pump.
Yeah.
So we're hoping it's nothing serious, but we'll be finding out this week. Any questions on well number 5?
What's the approximate price of a pump?
I'm guessing a new pump, which we probably wouldn't get. It may just be an impeller or something inside the pump that we'll be able to tear apart. Maybe replace the impeller, or maybe shaftings came loose somewhere. If it's a simple, but if you were replacing the whole pump, it'd probably be $5,000 to $7,000. But if you're doing a repair on the pump, it probably would be near that.
Do we have inventory? Refill pumps?
I mean, yeah, most of our pumps go out. I mean, we don't have the shop and the facilities to rebuild the pumps. I mean, we take them to this place is in Columbus. They'll come and pick it up.
We don't have any sitting on the shelf.
We don't have a spare sitting on the shelf.
Not really, because all the pumps are a little different in the wells. They're a little bit different. No, I don't have a spare just to put in. We do on everything else in the plant. I mean, on all the feeding systems and everything. The wells we have, if we lose a well, it's not a big deal because we have, 5 wells and we only run 2 at a time. So we have actually spare wells. So we don't have parts on pumps. So it's just a matter of kicking on another well.
You got a matrix for what you think, what you think the useful life of some of these wells are before
30 years.
Before we get into South Fork and some of them.
Municipal well, the average life of a municipal well is 30 years.
Right.
That well is 25 years old.
I can see when, when we did the rate study, established our rates here for these next few years, when we go to do that next rate study, we might need to accommodate for that as one of the planned
Improvements,
projects.
bringing that online. You know, that's another thing I kind of want to mention, that, you know, when we planned these upgrades, we actually did a rate study, and we sat down with an engineering firm, and we showed them that we had to do the clarifiers, and we were doing Franklin Avenue and Licking View Pump Station, and the different projects that we had. And then that was built into our rates for the next, till 2015.
It was through 14.
Through 14.
Because I remember 14 is when I would want to do the next study.
So, I mean, we have planned these improvements. This is not something that we just pulled off in our minds and whatever. This has been thoroughly thought out, these improvements, and how we were going to go about paying for them. So, and we just actually met with them and gave them some new figures here, was it 1 month ago? Or was it that?
Yes.
And told them that some of the prices had increased from what we anticipated, and then we wanted to see how we were progressing with our rate study, with our plan. And we seem to be still involved. So, other than that, that's
behind you.
yes.
Back when you were talking about the pump, it's probably a silly question, but has anybody checked, like at the contactors, the motor starter, or the disconnect, and have probed to see?
Yeah, we took amperage readings and so forth to see if the the motor was working efficiently and so forth, or there was something being bound up, or it was drawing more amps or something like that. The actual guy from the well company came in and kind of went through with us a few of the problem-solving things that we thought maybe might be causing a problem, or something that maybe we were overlooking or something, and he's still recommending pulling it.
So they've ruled out an electrical issue?
They've ruled out an electrical issue. Yeah, it's definitely a pump issue.
My motor's like 746 watts, I think it is, per horsepower.
And
So if you got a free,
yeah,
if it's running free, then it could be a compliment or something.
yeah. That motor was also replaced last year too. That was part of the, when we cleaned it, the well, the motor was showing some signs of problems. And so that motor was replaced last year on that one.
But motors, that's
Up above, yeah. Motor sets up here, and then you have your column shaft that goes clear down about 100, I think that pump sets at about 125. And then, but the well itself goes down 220 feet. And then you draw them from that aquifer that's lower, it comes up in, but the pump set above the aquifer because it pulls water in from lower and brings it up to column, and then it's pumped down. That's all sealed.
so your couplings up top.
There's a coupling every 12 feet. See, that is steel shaft, and there's a coupling every 12 feet going down to the, so it could very well be a coupling or something crazy. You could slip under.
If it's a motor, you have a warranty on it?
Yeah.
1 year or more?
I don't know what the life of it is, but they've ruled out a motor problem.
Oh, they ruled out that.
They've ruled out a motor problem. It's a pump problem. And like I said, when we get into it, we'll talk it over with them. They may stand behind it, because they did just work on it last year. It's a pretty good company we're dealing with and stuff. Other than that, that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions. Sorry I didn't have the power pump for you this time, but I was on vacation this week and this month. Last week. When were we at?
Last week.
So.
Did you talk about the T-bill?
Oh, maybe I didn't. Yeah, Franklin Avenue, I didn't. Franklin Avenue water line and pump station. It's kind of a repeat of what I've talked about in the past. I just kind of wanted to bring it up though to you. TLD was the winning bid for the Franklin Avenue. I've gotten a lot of phone calls from residents over there wanting to replace their service line. And I'm referring them to the contractor on the job. First I
That was that letter that we sent out
Yeah.
last year or something, right?
Yeah, and I was hoping that the contractor would give us a price per foot or something like that, but he's not willing to do that. He's saying he has to go and look because there could be sidewalks, there could be different things between the box and the house and
There's some
what,
sidewalks on that.
well, kind of like people sidewalks, you know, like going up to their house.
I see
Or
what you're
like,
saying.
you know, I mean, or it could be in the
To
middle.
the front porch or whatever.
Yeah,
see.
I talked to one guy whose line's in the middle of his driveway and it's asphalt.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know what he's gonna do.
More the improvements they've made since they've
Yeah.
bought the house, so.
So we don't know what all's gonna take place there, and it's probably up to the individual contractor. I mean, we leave it up to them. They can get their own contractor, or they can use the city's contractor since he's on site. We were hoping that the city's contractor would save them some money because he's already got equipment there, people there. And that, if I was living on Franklin Avenue, that's probably who I'd ask for a price. But I'd still maybe get another price from someone else, but anyway.
Convenient time to
so-
do it. How many of those lines are galvanized?
You know, I've had 3 or 4 phone calls and they were all 4 of them were galvanized.
Yeah.
And the people that's calling are the ones that know that it's galvanized.
Uh-huh.
So, but anyway, TLV got the bid. We're still waiting for the OPWC grant paperwork to come through. Hopefully, when it comes through, I'm supposed to get it in the first week of July. Once it gets through, we'll sign an agreement. Then we'll have the contract signed with TLV and start.
We're on schedule
Yeah,
still.
we're on
right?
schedule. Probably about middle of July still is what we're shooting for. But I can't award it officially until the OPWC grant monies in hand. But I know it's there.
You know, make sure, Dan, I know we've talked about this before, but make sure the folks working on the bridge are talking to the folks doing the line. I mean, if there's gonna be some traffic disruption while they're trying to haul in a piece of that bridge,
Well,
let's make sure
We need to know.
that, let's make sure they're on the same page with each other and who's doing what when.
I haven't been at the bridge lately. Is it coming along pretty good? I know
Bridge
probably got
is,
tore
there is
apart.
no bridge right now.
Oh,
So,
some big concrete ones.
yeah.
So
I
is it
saw
on-
one
does
of
it
the-
seem to be on schedule and stuff?
Yes, that's my understanding. They've even been able to work on some Saturdays or whatever too. At least I know a week or two ago they were working on a Saturday.
The weather's been good.
Huh.
Yeah, they haven't had any problem with that.
Contractor.
In fact, I don't even know if there's any water in the river.
I know.
We may not need a bridge. Maybe we could.
Yeah, there you
We couldn't use that concrete for erosion control anyway.
go. We are not allowed. That's
There's APL
I-
there.
I'm
There I
pretty
go
sure.
thinking logic.
I'm pretty sure
I
I
wish we
saw a
could.
piece of it rolling down, rolling north up 21st Street. I got gas at that gas station there on 21st and West Church, across from the video store, and it was a long piece of concrete, had rebar in it, and it looked like it had been used. So that might have been a piece of it rolling away.
Are they gonna pour that on site, or are they gonna bring it in?
They're gonna bring it in. Remember, it's prefab, so they're gonna bring it in piece by piece and then assemble.
That's
So-
why they built Cleveland Indian Stadium. My son-in-law did that. And all of it, he said all of it comes from up around Sidley, Ohio.
If they do it anything like they did that Church Street Bridge, that was fantastic. They brought big pieces in,
Yeah.
and
That's what they
those
do.
guys, they backed their tires out on something like this, and they knew what they were doing. It was scarier than hell, but they knew what they were doing. Council, anything else? Yes? 6:23. Doug Heffley's brother-in-law passed away. That's the reason he's not here tonight. And
Great show. Great
Yeah.
show.
yeah,
Yeah.
He's had cancer.
yeah.
His wife is a shell, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Now next
I know.
Monday we meet at 12:30 here.
My dad citizens not coming to see me and the roads are fixed. Realize, and then been to my